welcome to UK GK TV. My two good friends here, Mike and Dave.
Hi guys, how you doing? It's good to be back, innit?
It's good to be back. Yeah, been a couple of weeks or so, hasn't it? Really,
Yeah,
odds and ends. This is kind of a midweek one where we've all got together because we're looking at something specific, and we're looking at 1960s sci-fi movies, and we're using the term science fiction broadly, aren't we?
Definitely.
Because people will say, "Oh, it's a horror film," or "Well, it's an action movie," but we're going to use sci-fi, anything with a bit of fantasy in it, really, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's sorry, I went to the canteen earlier, and as I am kleptomaniac, I stole 3 wooden spoons and a knife just in case.
Not 4 candles, 4 candles.
4 candles.
6 candles.
Yeah, so I'll put these down. I don't do tricks anymore. No, not since me mate Houdini got hurt. Anyway, so
okay, so
Mike.
I've started bang on 1960.
Yep.
And I thought we'd start with The Lost World.
Okay, now that's Irwin Allen.
It is, and that's the reason why I picked it, mainly,
Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
which we're coming to in a bit.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, basically, he'd done so well on a film about 3 years earlier that they were prepared to throw money at him. And The Lost World was...
What was it? The day the Earth caught fire or something like that?
No, I can't remember. It was 57. I can't remember what it was. But they threw money at him, and it's quite an expensive production. Nice poster for it there. And basically, you've got Irwin Allen, lots of money. You've got Conan Doyle's story, of course.
Yeah, pretty much. It wasn't a bad reflection of the story, but they'd updated it to the 1960s or late 50s, haven't they?
They had Jill St. John in it.
Jill St. John.
You know, the babe. I mean,
she was a babe.
What she was there
she had
for.
a pink jumpsuit on.
Pink dog, I think.
Pink dog. A little dog that was dyed pink.
Yeah.
We had all the other characters, and they got onto the plateau. Rather than climbing it, they got onto it with a helicopter.
Yeah.
I think it was like some sort of Westland or some Sikorsky thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And there was a plot about stealing diamonds
Yeah.
from the natives.
I'll say that as
Oh yeah, and this was the first film that ever made me want to go to bed and cover myself up with a rug because my dad said it's the Lost World. You love this, little Sonny Jimmy said, but it's got some dinosaurs in. Well, when the first dinosaur came in and roared, I jumped up apparently and ran upstairs and hid under the sheets. So
I mean, it's you know, it's an expensive production. David Hedison, Claude Rains. Rains very good at
talented and well respected. That's it.
Sorry, made. How many times had it been made? I mean, the first film was
a really silent movie, wasn't it?
1925.
Yeah.
And then there's another 2 films. There's at least 1 television series.
The BBC version's quite a good one.
Yeah, it is.
A bit sort of sanitised.
Bob Hoskins was in one version.
Yeah, that's right. He plays Professor Challenger in the
it's
BBC
an important
version,
film. Lots of good monsters that can be done. I'm not sure what has been done.
I've not seen anything for this, but I'm sure our viewers and...
The problem was basically in this movie there was no animation as such. It was big lizards with rubber prosthetics stuck on them.
Yeah.
So they to me I felt as a child I thought it was wonderful because the sets and stuff and the glass slide paintings and the miniature work was excellent, wasn't it?
It was. But I mean it was. I mean the problem with it is that they ran out of money. And that shows, you know. So it's supposed to be big.
And sadly, several lizards died for that movie. There was actually lizard casualties in that movie. Yeah,
there was a protest, wasn't there? They had 2 creatures fighting each other.
Yeah.
And there was a protest from the...
And they were getting them to fight by warming them up and cooling them down at various points.
Oh my God.
So to get one to be submissive, they cooled it down in a fridge.
Oh my God.
And then they heated the other one up to make it more energetic. So it wasn't even a fair
brutal
fight.
Those were the days.
Brutal, those were the days.
Yeah, not as I'm aware there's nothing from this, but I'm sure, you know... our viewers will let us know in the comments, won't they? You know what I mean?
I think it was the one movie that maybe Harryhausen should have made that never did.
Right.
But we come to Harryhausen's finest.
When you compare Harryhausen to that, it's like
it's a million miles.
It's totally different. Yeah. I'm going to skip over the next one because I cheated and got it into the 1950s one. Time Machine. I'm only mentioning it because I love the film. Was it George Powell?
George Powell, once again, a bit like Irwin Allen.
Yeah.
Renowned for his fantasy and his action movies and anything. War of the Worlds was George Powell. But the Time Machine, I think, is particularly good because it's extremely close to the book.
It is, yeah.
And it's one of my favourite books ever written. It's not too long as a novel. It's more of a novella, isn't it?
As much as I love H.G. Wells, he can sometimes be quite boring. But the Time Machine isn't. It really rockets along.
The last scene, one of the last scenes when he goes forward in time till the end of mankind, and he describes the death of the planet. it's one of the most beautiful bits of romantic writing as far as
Do you know,
I'm
I
concerned.
used to write I used to be a principal examiner for a paper,
Okay, yeah.
and I used that extract in the
It's
paper
beautiful
because it's one of
extract,
the best
it is
things
one of the
I've
best.
ever read.
To me, it's a little bit like The Great Gatsby. To me, that's the sci-fi version of The Great Gatsby.
Anyway, so I only mention it as to say, for God's sake,
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
in England, somebody in the UK, make a time machine so we don't have to order it from America.
Well, the
Get
thing
a
is,
Morlock
that
done.
I
I
think
think there is more.
There
Lock.
used
is
to
there
be
a
Morlocks.
1/6 Morlock?
Morlocks.
Because there should be a 1/6 Morlock.
There is 1/6 Morlocks.
Is there
Yeah,
one?
but it's that side of the pod, not our
Yeah,
side.
that's the thing. I mean, we need them made
We
over
need
here,
a Morlock.
and I've got to say, the Morlock I've seen, I know the one you're talking
Yeah.
about, and it's not that good. There's much better room for some of the talented
I'll
people
tell you
you
what.
work with.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to take the challenge.
Do a Morlock.
I'm going to do a
Oh, that
Morlock.
would be fantastic. I'd buy it.
I'm going to do the Morlock. I'm
I'd
going
buy
to do
it.
a Morlock, and I can see the base covered in human bones.
Oh yeah, definitely. Of
That's-
course,
that's
in
so-
the,
I
in
love
the
a
cage,
skull on
yeah.
a base.
He
There you go,
discovers the
guys.
bones.
You've just seen the birth of another
A new
garage.
kit.
Yeah,
I am going to be doing
It's just
a
happened. We
Morlock.
didn't rehearse
Fantastic.
that.
Right,
was-
so if Bill does the Morlock, somebody out there do the time
Time
machine. Anyway,
Or get Joe to do Yvette Mimou, is it? Yvette Mimou?
it is, yeah.
Yvette
It's
Mimou?
Wiener.
Wiener or Wiener. Yeah, there you go, Joe. There's your
Yeah.
next kit.
Yeah.
I'll do the Morlock. You do the beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Semi-naked, as I remember.
Semi-naked, yeah.
Um,
Short dress.
Voice
Short
of the Bottom of
dress.
the Sea, the next one. Getting back to Irwin Allen.
Richard Basehart.
Great. Yeah, Richard Basehart was the TV series.
Oh,
Yeah,
who was
not-
it?
not
Walter
in the film.
Pigeon.
Yeah, Walter
Walter
Pigeon. Yeah,
Pigeon.
it was. Great film, I think. Really enjoyable.
Yeah,
I used to love the TV series though.
I
TV
did,
series,
I did
yeah,
actually.
but
Is
that
it
was
this-
Irwin Allen as well, wasn't it?
It was Irwin Allen.
What's
yeah.
the submarine called?
The
Seaview.
Seaview, yeah. It's a lovely, beautiful
That sounds like a
design,
place
yeah.
in Spain, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's been made. I know
Is
the
it the same?
Seaview's
Is it
been
the
made
same
lots of
design
times.
in the film
Yeah.
as the?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
it
They
is.
use the same things.
They used all the same things.
They
basically.
used the same sets and the same models over and over.
The cast was completely
Yeah.
different. Peter Lorre.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think Peter Lorre was the David Hedison part.
Yeah.
Richard Basehart part was played by Walter Pigeon. And of course, if I go da 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 da, Barbara Eden was in it.
Barbara Eden.
Um,
Barbara Eden, if you don't know, she is the genie from My Dream of a Genie. She was a
Now I know there's
extremely
model
beautiful.
kits.
And there's definitely a model kit by Dream of Genie. There's also the flying sub.
There's loads
course,
of there's
yes.
loads
The
of
flying
there's
sub.
lo-
Yeah.
There's
There's
loads
loads
of
of
the
kits.
craft, isn't there? But
Yeah.
I'd have not seen many of the main characters, if I'm honest.
I think we have the inevitable battle with the giant squid.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
It was, and I'll tell you what. I watched the clips on YouTube. I haven't watched the film
Okay.
in ages.
Is it
It's a
decent?
very good model, actually.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
yeah.
crying out for a mate. Especially, there is a bit where it actually does grab somebody, and that would make a great model. I mean, it really
Somebody
would.
being gripped by a
Yeah,
giant squid.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's in several films, isn't it?
I suppose in one of the ways of doing it was to wrap the actor with the giant squid tentacle, then unwrap the actor,
Yeah.
and then film it and play it backwards on the print.
Yeah,
So
which
it
I
looked
think
like they were
I
being
think-
gripped.
Didn't they do that in
Voyage to the Bottom, was it
20,000 Leagues Under the
yeah,
Sea as well?
that's
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's. I would say that is a pretty good film. Quite an involved plot actually, and quite realistic. Didn't it
Yeah.
involve the Van Allen radiation belt?
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah,
why
and
that's why they're going.
That's why they have to go
the
under
whole
the
purpose
sea,
of the
don't
mission.
they?
Yeah,
'Cause
the
it's
Earth's
too
in
hot
danger
at
of
the
dying.
Equator, yeah. Oh,
I
well,
remember,
there you
yeah.
go. So
that was well remembered.
that's all. That's all done from absolute memory. That.
Yeah,
So,
very good. And now the next one that I think is a massively overlooked film,
Yeah,
and that's Mysterious Island.
and it's Harryhausen.
It is Harryhausen, and it's some of Harryhausen's best work. I mean,
Really?
that's what's so surprising about it.
I personally think there's a real dearth of kits from this. There's the giant bee and the people trapped in the hive.
Yeah,
That would make a fantastic diorama.
definitely.
There's the giant chicken or the 4 or 8
Whatever it's
giant
supposed to
bird.
be,
What
yeah.
it is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a giant chicken, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's a prehistoric dino bird, isn't it?
Yeah.
That running around with it's almost, and they lasso it in the end, don't they? And somebody shoots it with a
that's
rifle.
Right. Very, yeah.
There's that. Then this one, which is the giant ammonite cephalopod, which is like a beautiful thing. Now
Beautifully done.
it's got Captain Nemo in it.
Yeah.
So there's a chance for a Nautilus,
Yeah.
but we know that the Nautilus has been done several times,
Yeah,
and that's an
yeah.
expensive kit. But once again, the Nautilus kit that I bought and never did and resold was partly vacuum formed, partly brass etched, and partly laser cut.
Oh.
And I just looked at it, and it was an engineering project. and I just thought I just haven't got the skill to do that, and I bottled out, and it must have cost what 80, 90 quid at the time. So it was expensive, but the brass etching and everything was beautiful, but it just defeated me. I just couldn't. You know, I suppose I had a crisis of confidence.
I'm not sure whether they ever made the crab. The crab's fascinating.
Well, yeah, because
he actually it's the
the
only
crab,
model he's ever done where he used a crab. He took the skin off crabs.
And he built an articulated crab, the armature. He built the actual shell of a real crab around it,
and then built the stuff underneath it. Stuck all the crab bits on.
Yeah,
and it's very
very
done.
good. And when they tip it into that boiling pool and they cook it, I just thought a bit of genius, isn't there? Because if you think about Clash of the Titans, when Perseus is attacked by the scorpions. Those were actually generated clay models, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
He didn't take a scorpion apart and do that, but with that, it's particularly good. But the animation of the mouth parts and everything, it really looks like a real crab. It's a bit of genius, isn't it?
It's quite frightening.
It's quite frightening.
So and it's just crying out for
a kid,
loads of models. It did pretty well actually, Mysterious Island, and kind of kept the Jules Verne things going because they've been going for like 3 years then. 4 years. The next one now, Day of the Triffids.
Yeah, there's
been a few Triffids, hasn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, I like this movie because I think John Wyndham, the author, is quite good, but he's written several stories, hasn't he? Sorry, am I
quite good?
Well, you know what I mean. In terms of mid-century sci-fi,
I think John Wyndham's great. I mean,
okay.
The Chrysalids, the Midwich Cuckoos.
Chucky.
Chucky's one of the less good ones.
Yeah, but you see, that was the first one I read, so that was why. But when I read The Day of the Triffids, I actually thought this is a fantastic concept.
And they kept the opening, didn't they? Brilliant opening. The opening of Day of the Triffids.
The meteorites.
It's in the hospital, isn't it?
He's in the hospital. He's bandaged. It's a bit like 28 Days Later.
That's why he survived. And then the doctor meets him.
Yeah.
And the doctor says, "Show me where the window is," and he throws himself out the window.
Yeah,
and that's in the book and the film, and nicked for several films, I think.
But like 28 Days Later has a similar end. At the beginning, he's in the hospital, and The Walking Dead, he's in the hospital.
Yeah.
And he misses the plague because so we've got a lot of stuff to love this film for.
You know what? I don't think anybody's made a decent Triffid, to be honest. I've never seen a.
There has been, but the stuff you're talking about today is early garage kit stuff.
Yeah.
So you won't see many of these.
Look at that. I mean, that's the poster, which is nothing like it looked in the film.
No. The poster's much better.
But that would be a fantastic kit. I mean, that really would.
It has a very sort of almost Cthulhu kind of feel to it to me. The Triffids, they are almost like beings from another world, aren't they? Sort of thing.
Yeah.
When it comes down.
I mean, that's essentially what they are, aren't they? They're seeds that sort of grow.
The BBC series from a bit later on wasn't too bad either. I felt.
No, it was okay. The one with the Welsh actor, John. What's it? Yeah.
They kind of made it a bit more complicated than it needed to be.
And they've redone it in a later version, which was dreadful.
Yeah.
So I do think there's room for a Triffid, a decent one.
A decent Triffid on a nice base.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and the other thing is that with the Triffids, it's I imagine if you built one, it wouldn't be difficult to do a kit where you could actually buy a couple of them and reposition the parts. It'd be nice to have like a little bit of a diorama.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now I'm only mentioning the next one because The Man with X-Ray Eyes, Roger Corman, 1963, Ray Milland, very good actor Ray Milland when he wanted to be, and the only thing I thought about it was that I'm not fond of doing faces, but you've got a lot of faces you've done for horror and for sci-fi. I think that the actual bit where his eyes are sort of completely consumed by darkness, I think would be a very striking image. Because
that's the end of the film, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he says, if your eye offends you, then pluck it out.
Yeah,
and then he opens his eyes and it's black. Now, when I was a kid, I thought, now I know that they're consumed by darkness, but when I was a kid, I thought he'd actually pulled them out.
Yeah, so did I. Actually.
Yeah, that's how I saw it. And I remember being completely like, whoa, that's scary.
I mean, it's a pretty gruesome story, really. I mean,
it starts out jolly, doesn't it? Because like most blokes who would achieve the ability to see through things, he starts looking through women's clothes. Obviously, as you would. It's like those specs. Do you remember those? Yeah. And I know where it came. Do you remember the adverts in the back of the back of comics when you were a kid?
Sea monkeys.
X-ray specs, sea monkeys, and the guy puts puts it on, and you see the girl dancing in a dress, and then she's dancing in a one-piece bikini.
I can remember actually
genius.
being so young, looking at them, thinking they must work, and hoping I could get one from America.
I bought a pair. I bought a pair from Offley's toy shop in Ellesmere Port, and the woman gave me that. Ooh, you naughty boy, look. And I'm thinking, ho ho ho. Off I go out into the street, put them on, looked, couldn't see a thing. And then I got home and I put my hand up in front of the window, and for a couple of minutes I thought, I can see my bones. I can see my bones. But all it was a lot of red, very thin red filaments over 2 pinholes.
Oh.
So what it did was your eyes, your vision's interrupted, and your stereoscopic vision's kind of overlapped a little bit. So what you do is you see a shadow in the middle of everything. So whatever you look at looks like they've got a skeleton inside it, even something like a potato.
So you got your money's worth.
Even until I looked at a potato, and the potato had a circular skeleton, a naked potato, and I thought, oh, it's just a trick.
It was funny you talking about this, because I watched a film last night, because at the last Orcon we were hassled a little bit to do this particular subject matter, and it's a 1988 film. And that basically deals with someone wearing glasses. Let's see how good you are.
Oh, no, not They Live. Yeah.
It's They Live when they can see the aliens, but only with the special. Is that John Carpenter? John Carpenter?
Yeah, John Carpenter.
Yeah.
I watched it last
It's a good
night.
movie.
Did you like it?
Yeah,
I
at the time I thought was great, because I mean it was at cinema and it was sci-fi and there wasn't much else on. Was there?
It's not the best of his work.
But I like the jelly
good.
faces with the stuff.
Well, we got asked loads of times to do that at the last con, and I thought, well, why are we getting asked all of a sudden? And allegedly, it's a cult film.
It is.
So
It is a cult film,
I put it on, and last night was the first night I could watch it, and I was like, right, let me look at this to see if I'm going to do a model of this. And I just thought, what the hell is this?
I suppose the problem is, haven't they got some sort of translucent skin though, haven't they?
They're blue, aren't they? Because at the end, they actually kill the signal, and then everybody can see them, can't they? Right at the end, and I just thought there was so many holes in that film. I just thought,
I think the idea was nicked from. I can't remember if it's either nicked from The Outer Limits or The Twilight Zone. The idea that only he can see the monsters.
He can see the monsters. Yeah.
What was the situation with the woman that he accosted? And next minute he was like, he jumped in a car with her, went back to the hotel with her. Then she knocked him out, rung the police, and he got away. And then he was kind of in love with her. And then the next minute, she came up right at the end, and then was like, he shot her. And I'm like,
I think the story's
please,
been
Bill, explain that story.
Sounds like a Carpenter rush job.
John Carpenter is a fantastic filmmaker, and his concepts are good, but like we were saying about Irwin Allen, he tends to be maybe a little bit of a guerrilla filmmaker, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
So he attracts the finances from perhaps not shady dealings, but people who wouldn't normally be financing films. It's a bit like he did Dark Star, didn't he? Was that him? Was that John Carpenter?
Yes, he was. That was his
Dark
first
Star, his
major
first
film,
one, right? So he managed to film that over a couple of years because he couldn't get enough money. And I think when somebody saw the rushes of that movie, they probably thought, I'm not paying you anymore. I'm not paying you another cent. So when he edited it, he had to edit it, and I think I don't think he'd filmed as many scenes as he'd wanted to, and it's a bit like Plan 9 from Outer Space. Could have been genius.
I enjoyed it actually.
They lived.
Enjoyed
yeah,
it.
they lived.
But I
They
still
lived.
haven't explained what her part was in it.
I have no idea.
One minute she was a love interest, next minute she was on top of the roof with him, and I'm thinking, he's going to shoot her, and he shoots her, and I'm like,
Was she one of them?
no.
Was she a government? Was she an FBI spy or something? CIA
I've no
spy?
idea, but like,
Somebody out there has got to explain
it to us. I'm going to rewatch it.
It's a little bit above my pay grade.
I guarantee there'll be
Is it on
somebody's.
Netflix?
I wouldn't be surprised.
It's
on
usually on
YouTube, to be
Netflix.
honest.
So if
It's
anybody
YouTube,
can
yeah.
explain to me what that woman,
Yeah.
the love interest
Interest
in
in
They
that is
Live
just-
is
They
all
Live.
about, please do, because I haven't got a Scooby Doo.
Well, it could be a metaphor. You're an English teacher.
Next one.
Moving on swiftly.
First Man in the Moon.
First Man in the Moon.
And 1964, H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells.
It is Harryhausen.
Harryhausen.
And I I thought, I'm a bit of an H.G. Wells fan. I thought, I haven't read the book since I was like 18. So I thought, right, so I've read it. I read it 2 weeks ago. It's quite dull, actually. There's long, boring bits in it. But actually, the film's got this really clever framing device where it starts with him going to see an old
See
bloke.
an old man in a sort of infirm room, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, and he says, oh, I'm watching somebody land on the moon, but they weren't the first ones.
Yeah.
We were the first men in the moon, and they constructed the Cavorite sphere.
That's right.
Is it?
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
it.
a
God, that's
spherical
good.
thing which is covered in a special chemical which is super magnetic,
Yeah.
and it's got shutters. And when you open the shutters, the chemical reacts to the light and it just takes off.
Yeah.
And it
And
ends
then you
up
have
on
to
the
steer
moon.
it by opening
yeah, but
one
when it
window,
hits the
closing
moon,
another.
it rolls around like a great big football, but they're tied on inside on
Yeah,
these
they
like
are.
harnesses.
Yeah.
It's beautifully conceived.
It is.
It's steampunk before
It
steampunk
absolutely
was
is. The
invented.
design of the ship itself.
Steampunk.
Great.
It's a steampunk movie. It's one of the. It's a little bit like Journey to the what is it called? Journey to the Earth's Core. It's a steampunk movie before steampunk was
Yeah.
invented.
Do you remember why they go there? It's because they've landed on the moon, and when they get on the moon,
Yeah,
they find the evidence of
evidence. Yeah,
of who's
exactly.
already
And
been there before,
they
which is not
open
in
the
the book.
doors of the civilization, and it starts to crumble, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's
died,
It's
and
died,
the
yeah.
suggestion is it's their fault that it's died. I mean, but the rest of the film sticks to it quite nicely, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, the humans are the baddies because the suggestion is in the book and in the film that the aliens are actually okay.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
only our
it's
aggression.
our misunderstanding and aggression that
Yeah,
gives us
and
the-
our
yeah,
failure to
yeah.
understand the language.
There are some models of this, aren't there?
Yeah,
the
there
guy
are.
that does the Quatermass models, what's it called?
Gary Iliad.
Gary Iliad does a moon cow. I know he does a moon cow.
Does he?
Does a moon
I
cow,
didn't know that.
and I think he does a moon.
No.
It does
I
elude.
don't
Does
think
your
he does
set-
them. I think
The
Terry.
selenite.
Terry's doing a. He's actually doing a moon cow as you speak.
Wow.
Terry's actually doing a
Oh,
moon
right, but
cow.
I've seen
I'm not sure whether.
that's
the
moon
moon
cow.
cow.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
But I'm
Very
pretty
nice.
sure I've seen a Cavorite sphere and a selenite warrior with a. With
Yeah, he does
Oh, yeah,
that.
it's a selenite warrior I've seen
Yeah,
quite
he
a
does
bit.
So
that.
it's just a moon cow he doesn't do, but he is
Yeah.
doing the moon cow.
Well, no. Gary does the two ones that look like that.
Yeah. The
Selenite.
selenites.
And Terry has been mithering me for 2 years to do this moon cow. He wants to do it.
Yeah.
Right,
So
it's
he's
a good
definitely
idea.
doing
it.
I mean,
Yeah.
nice kit.
Lovely
Plenty
kit.
of colours, nice
it?
Yeah,
mouth,
nice
eyes,
architect.
good
You can get a
detail.
nice swirl in the structure there. It's got big mouth
So he
parts.
is definitely doing that.
I
Terry,
think that'd be good. I mean, it needs to
Yeah,
be, you
yeah.
know, I hope he doesn't
chunky.
do it too
It's got to
small.
be chunky.
Yeah.
It's got to be a good size, hasn't it?
The
Moon cow.
Selenites, there's actually, is it Moon Devil or something? There's somebody who does actually the 4 different versions of the Selenites.
Yeah, because
Oh.
they're like ants, aren't they? They have
Yeah.
different structures, don't they?
And they've
They're
got
different.
ones with spears and
Got
ones,
ones
with
with
not,
big
and then the big
brains.
one with the crystals, who's the
Yeah,
boss.
that's
Yeah,
awesome,
Gary does them. So check
Yeah,
Gary
yeah.
out. Get
Right.
the Mooncrest models.
So yeah, have a, just do yourself a little bit of an internet search. First Man
does
in the
it.
Moon, an underrated and
Good fun.
pretty forgotten movie.
I think so, yeah. It's a
I
good
want-
fun, quite.
It's never really put in Harryhausen's as his best work,
No.
but in terms of the concept, it's a beautiful piece
It
of work,
is,
isn't
it is.
It's quite a mild movie. You can watch,
It is. I
watch
mean,
with
they
the
lightened
kids.
it off quite a bit. I mean, the book's
Yeah.
actually quite a bit darker.
Yeah,
actually.
it's darker. Yeah.
Anyway, so the next one. Now, I've only thrown this in partly because I know you and I both like Richard Matheson.
Yeah, I do.
The Last Man on Earth, which is basically one of the most influential stories he ever
Yeah.
wrote. I mean, the Omega Man.
Mega Man. Those models of him.
Yeah,
Monsters
well,
in
all
Motion.
that's nicked basically.
And
from the
Will
idea.
Smith movie.
Yeah, what's it called? Last Man on Earth? No.
No. When he fights the zombies in New York when he's on his own. What's it called?
What's it called?
Yeah,
It's a good film actually. It's quite good. What the hell's it?
totally unmemorable.
Yeah,
Zombies were a bit dull, weren't
they were a bit dull.
They were dull.
I mean, and,
But anyway,
and,
it-
I mean,
yeah.
and basically, you know, what it comes up with is well, that's one of the sort of zombie type creatures in it, and it is, you know, it's a disease. It's
yeah,
wiped
it's-
out them, turn them into sort of zombies.
The
and
kind of
these-
vampire things,
yeah.
aren't they? And they can't come out in the daylight because they're allergic to the
So, yeah.
daylight, so they hide under houses and stuff
You can
like
see
that.
the influence on all, you know.
Well, you can see the influence.
on-
I think you can see the influence of that Matheson novel on Salem's Lot. I think the domestic, the sort of like urban nature of it.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That he's living in a house, and around him he's surrounded by vampires, and they come out at night and they taunt him, don't they, in the book?
Yeah.
And
That's like the 28 Days Later one, isn't
yeah,
it?
and that 28 Days Later is very similar.
Or 30
in the sense
Days a
it's
Night.
30 Days a
yeah,
Night.
definitely.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
and
we've got a lot there.
the star is Vincent Price.
Vincent Price
who
is
actually
in the
turns
original.
in. I mean, I love Vincent Price, but he's very hammy.
Turns in a really good
But
performance.
he turns in
one.
a solid performance.
It's a bit of a drawing room horror, isn't it? That though, because there's a lot of talking in it in terms of the explanation of what's going on. And Vincent Price, obviously, is not an action star.
No.
And he kind of counteracts the arguments of the living dead, so to speak, with clever arguments, whereas they have the similar arguments to say to an extent that you are now the monster and we are the reality.
Yeah, which is how it kind of winds
and
up.
And the vampires in that are fully functioning, thoughtful beings, whereas in the Will Smith movie, they're just raging zombies, aren't they?
There's the Omega Man, the one with Charlton Heston.
Charlton Heston, the Omega Man.
I mean, Charlton Heston slagged off the original. He was quite brutal about it. He was quite an outspoken bloke.
You see, the Omega Man, to me, it cuts off too early.
It is, and I do think it was geared to him very much, a sort of action.
Yeah,
thing,
it was a kind of like you've done great big gorillas with machine guns.
I love the landscape. I love the way he's isolating that city and all the people out there. Anyway, so I think there's room for another zombie there.
Yeah,
definitely. Now the next one, I've only put it in because honestly, it's just a big memory for me, which is why I'm wearing this. Why I brought this as well. That's from 1992. I've got the set of those. Is because when I was 7 years old, I was taken along to see Doctor Who.
Thunderbirds Are Go, the movie version of the TV episodes. Wasn't it? It was a full-length version.
Enjoyed it. There is a creature in it. I thought at first there's no point in me talking about this, and then I thought about it and said, hold on, yes there is.
There's a creature.
There's a rock snake in it.
Isn't that is that on Mars or something?
Yes, it is.
It's on Mars. It's a rock snake on Mars.
Are you the Thunderbirds or Captain Scarlet?
Do you know of the two, Captain Scarlet is the best. But
Thunderbirds, Scarlet's got the
Thunderbird's groundbreaking, and those ships were lovely. I loved Thunderbird 2 actually. I should have brought that one.
Yeah, I mean Thunderbird 2 was the definitive in it, but I mean I was Captain Scarlet. I loved it. Mr. Arms.
You see, my favourite was this with Thunderbird 3,
3,
which was a dedicated spaceship, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
I liked these fins here, which they reminded me of barley sugar sticks at the time.
No, Thunderbird 2. Thunderbird 2.
It was Thunderbird 2 for me, definitely.
Thunderbird 1's just a rock.
You see, do you remember Blake 7?
I certainly do.
Look at that and tell me that the guy that came up with the Liberator wasn't looking at that.
Absolutely.
I mean, come on. Yeah. It's the Liberator, isn't it? That's the beauty of it.
But Jerry Anderson, the best Jerry Anderson, has got to be by far
Captain
UFO.
Scarlet. What?
UFO,
yeah.
UFO.
And there are plenty of models around that.
There's plenty of models.
Love UFO.
And the good thing about UFO is that the vehicles are absolutely the shadow vehicles are worked out, aren't they? Yeah. I mean, all Anderson's vehicles are beautiful, but the shadow vehicles.
Ed Straker's car was amazing.
Straker's car.
Was, yeah.
Do you know who ended up owning that?
No.
He's still got it to this very day. He had two cars at a UFO, and a famous DJ bought them. DLT.
No. Did he tell us about
He's
that?
got them, yeah.
He's got them.
Still got them.
Wow. Well, wasn't it a shell built on top of something else?
A Ford, wasn't
it? You could see the way it bounces.
It's actually a standard Ford colour, apparently. It's painted in a standard Ford colour because all the Jerry Anderson stuff was painted in Humble. The actual things were painted in Humble.
Humble enamels?
Yeah.
Classic.
So
that's classic.
So you can actually, they did it so that they could match everything up because they're actually, car colours and everything. So it's that basic. But UFO for me every day of the week.
There's a huge. The revival of Jerry Anderson stuff is
superb.
Huge.
UFO.
I mean, it's everywhere.
The only thing I couldn't figure out about
everything.
UFO is when they were. Can you remember the guy that was in the skydiver?
The submarine. He goes into the front of the submarine.
Do you know who his name is? He's a singer, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, I know.
Paul? Is it? No. That was.
That was his character's name. Why did he have to wear them vests?
I'll tell you what.
That was awful, wasn't it?
I'll tell you what. Pulling that vest on, if you're not careful.
Yeah.
There's bits that stick out of that vest.
He looks like a bit of Humperdinck. We want him.
He looked like Engelbert Humperdinck. He had that same sort of Italianate look about him, didn't he?
Yeah. One word name.
His name's Simon or something, maybe.
Anyway,
so
great
stuff.
Definitely that. And going back slightly, actually, I skipped over Doctor Who and the Daleks because
you missed Gay Ellis out. We've got to talk about Gay Ellis. Bill's missed.
You're
that
straying onto TV series. You just want to talk about Gay Ellis, don't you?
Go on, anyway.
Doctor Who and the Daleks. Is 65 actually.
And when did Doctor Who and Dalek Invasion of Earth come out? That was the sequel.
It was. I mean, he could have been a very good Doctor
Peter Cushing, the great lost Doctor.
Yeah.
Peter Cushing, for me, he would be him. If he was actually an official BBC doctor, he would be my favourite doctor. Tom Baker, of course, who's still alive. He must be 101 too. He's ancient, but he's still a doctor as far as I'm concerned.
Do people actually still watch Doctor Who?
Well, I watched the old ones. I've just finished watching the new ones to the last episode.
Mm.
Wow, you've been naughty or something.
I just felt I had to. I've loved Doctor Who all my life.
You'd love it to be good, wouldn't you?
I would love it to be good.
It stopped being good when Eccleston left. Sorry.
Oh no, it didn't. David Tennant was great.
No. You can't. Eccleston was the last Doctor that didn't act like a human being. Everybody else started to have feelings about stuff, and I just don't approve of it.
Without getting too political about this, I went to the show to Farnborough with Owen, and I had the pleasure of sitting through a Doctor Who. Oh, it was horrendous, mate.
Which one was it? Which one was it?
It was that one.
It was the new series.
Some cartoon in it or something.
Oh yeah. The first of this last series.
No, you see,
Bill, it was dreadful.
Who's got to be dark?
They got a musical moment. They got breaking the fourth wall.
No, don't
it's
like
just,
it. No.
And the thing is, I know this is controversial. A lot of people say it's because of him, but he would have been a fine Doctor if he'd had decent scripts.
Oh, it's awful.
Same for her. I thought, what was her name?
Yeah, but just let me just put something.
Billy Piper.
No,
the female Doctor. Yeah.
Jodie Whittaker.
She is a very good actress. She would have been very good. She was good in a couple of episodes.
All the Doctor Who's, the limited Doctor Who's I've watched when I was a kid. Now this is an observation from a non-Doctor Who fan.
Yeah.
Right, this is not going to. Think about this. When I watched it, the Doctor always fixed the problem. In the last the one I watched, and the couple I had to watch endure with Owen, he didn't fix it. He gets rescued. So what's happened?
Yeah. I know.
He was like the damsel in distress.
I just felt that.
So where do we
I know the plots were always nonsense, but these are
awful.
No, you see, they weren't nonsense. Doctor Who with the Demons.
No, the new ones.
Scary.
Classic.
Doctor Who and the Sea Devils.
Yeah.
Scary. All those
Daleks were scary as hell.
Early Cybermen. Solitarians were scary as hell.
Cybermen.
I mean, these are relentless, Earth-threatening aliens that were ruthless, and the Doctor was cunning enough to
the Doctor did it.
The Doctor did it. Now it's just...
You have to rescue the Doctor. Why does that work?
So anyway, I don't know what's going to happen with it next. We'll see. I mean, there is a spin-off series that looks interesting.
No.
Not with the Doctor, but with the Sea Devils.
No, please no.
Russell Tovey in the lead, so it looks interesting.
Maybe that's good.
And maybe it's the influence of Disney. I mean, I'd be glad when Disney pulls the money and we go back to not having
Let's
Disney.
go back to making it on cheap. Because it was always better when it was done cheap.
Let's move on.
Anyway,
swiftly.
Move on.
Fantastic Voyage. Do you want to talk about Fantastic Voyage?
Raquel Welch. I want to talk about Raquel
Is that the
Welch.
one where they inject him in?
Later Majors in Space.
It is quite an important.
Yeah, later
film
Majors in Space.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't know what else you could say.
Was it Owen Allen?
Was it Owen Allen?
Or was it George Powell?
I don't know.
But it was Raquel Welch.
It was definitely Raquel Welch.
I keep saying that, don't I?
Yeah.
I wonder why, Bill.
I wonder why.
They got Isaac Asimov to write the book after the film because the film made very little sense. And Asimov, of course, being basically a scientist, he wrote it and actually tried to make sense of all the rubbish that they'd invented. But what I didn't know, the bits where you're in the blood and you've got all these
and you've got
antibodies.
the blood vessels and the antibodies.
They were still using clips of that film in the 1980s for doctors to show them the interior workings of the blood system.
I didn't mind that film.
I enjoyed it.
The bit when the antibodies attack and they enrobe Raquel Welch with all that jelly and they have to pull it all off her.
And it crumbles.
I'm going to stop now.
Yeah. Do you know the story about it, don't you?
I know.
So basically, she's
like
in
Raquel Welch.
They filmed it. They got it live. She's covered in this
jelly
stuff, and they said, right, go, and all the gentlemen start pulling them off, and they're not pulling them off from the rude areas. No. So she's still got these all over, and he says, look, you're trying to save this woman's life. We've got to do this again. This time, pull them off everywhere. So they start pulling him off, and he says, "No, that's not right. No, it looks like something awful." Yeah. So actually, in the end, they had to choreograph the whole thing so they knew what person was pulling off what to make it look right.
Yeah, to make it look right. But that was a great scene, and as a kid, it was on in the afternoons.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was okay.
I thought it was okay.
I think they have made the ship at some point. But
the ship is good because it's a bit like the Flying Sub, isn't it? It's very much like the Flying Sub.
Very much.
Yeah.
Now the next one, one of my favourite films actually, although Quatermass in the Pit, is, I mean, basically it's a Hammer film. It's Nigel Neal, who wrote loads of stuff.
Yeah, it was also a BBC series, wasn't it? Black and white, wasn't
it?
The
BBC series has been cleaned up, and is available on Blu-ray.
Oh, right. Does it pretty much follow the film?
It is still. I mean, it's worn and faded, and the special effects, but it is still terrifying.
It's
scary. Really is.
It's a scary movie, and the colour version, the Hammer colour version, it's a scary movie. It's got a bit of devil worship and Satanism in there.
Yeah, that's one of the models. Yeah. There's quite a few.
Is that resin or is it vinyl?
I think it's resin. Solid resin.
Solid resin.
And is that a Gary Iliad one?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
I think it
I
might
can't remember where I got it. I wrote on it, and I can't remember where I got it.
I think it is. I think it is that.
Hobbs Lane was the devil.
Hobbs, the old word for the devil, isn't it?
Story.
It's a great story, and they unearth this in an abandoned subway station, don't they? And there's a bomb from the Second World War goes off, and it leaves a hole in the wall. Yeah. And then when they break into what they think is just a capsule, it's a spaceship. And then somebody, and the beings in the spaceship, their spirits are still alive. Yes. So they think they're haunted, but it's like a psychic projection, isn't it? And it's all about how Mars and the insect creatures on Mars killed each other, isn't it? Genocide. Yeah. But with me, I mean, this beauty of this is this three-legged creature here. I think it's beautifully imagined. And actually, in the BBC version, as much as the Hammer version, it's quite a nice effect.
It is. The BBC version, I mean, you just get a vague...
What version is that?
This is the Hammer version.
This is the Hammer. I mean, it was difficult to make out the colours because they don't show it, so I've just sort of
because it's just all very dark in it.
It's definitely green. But the earlier black and white one, you can't really tell. There's the wonderful bit where the humans imitate the leaping of the creatures. Is actually really frightening. So it's there are various kits.
Do you remember that really awful 80s movie, Life Force?
I certainly do, yeah.
I
wonder why we remember Life Force.
But anyway, there's a bit where they're all running around London and London's coming apart and there's fires and stuff. Yeah. It reminds me very, very much of Quatermass in the Pit. Yeah. Especially at the end, there's a crane in the end. They use a crane.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and it's the metal, isn't it? They can break the psychic link by putting a piece of iron through it.
That's right.
And they crash this crane into the station, I think. I think that's the end of it. But that's very much like that bit. Just reminds me of something of Life Force.
It is. I mean, and of course, there's been 2 sequels. There's been 4 different Quatermasses. Yeah. For me, I've got to say, I thought the best is still the original, which is Peter Cushing. Is it?
Peter Cushing.
Andrew Keir is the next best favourite for me, and then this American actor took over for the other 2, and I thought he was.
No, the Quatermass ones.
Yeah, awful. 2001: A Space Odyssey, 1968.
Yep.
Well, Kubrick said that he's going to make one great film in every genre. This is his science fiction.
A great movie.
It is a
stands
hugely
up, very quiet, a very sort of extended movie. You have to watch every moment of it. You still don't get the end.
No.
I mean, I just vaguely got the end of it. That's only because I read the 2001 Jack Kirby Marvel adaptation, where everything is explained for an American audience. Right, so I understood that movie before everybody else did because I'd read the comic book, and it was one of those summer specials. It was about this big. It was huge. Wow. And so when I saw the movie, it made sense to me. But I often think if I hadn't read the comic book first, and I hadn't understood this notion of the Sentinel, that I wouldn't have understood the movie. The effects are absolutely unbeatable. The moon bug, the moon base, the wheel in space. Oh, the wheel in space is just fantastic.
And some of the science is really, really good. Arthur C. Clarke was,
he was an advisor on it, wasn't
he? Yeah.
And that woman, the aircraft, the Orion shuttle, and she's walking along with Velcro shoes so she doesn't take off. And that guy puts a pen in his pocket and he falls asleep and the pen just comes out of his pocket and floats away.
The special effects are mind-boggling for the time. They are mind-boggling. I mean, people say, they talk about Star Wars, but I would say that Space Odyssey is
Space Odyssey actually is scientifically accurate. You can't have explosions in space as such. You can't have noise in space and all of those things. And it's mostly silent. The space scenes when they're out in the sort of deep space, it's absolute silence around them.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't get over that movie.
It is incredibly well done.
Movie.
I mean, it's got that weird ending. I first saw it at university, and half the people in the audience were stoned out their head because that's the way you watch the film for the ending, I think.
Yeah. It's a very psychedelic.
It's like the book is a bit slow. I've read the book years ago. It's a
long
slow.
short story.
So's the film. Yeah.
It's a long short story.
I wrote 4 in the end. I've not read them.
There was a sequel back in the 80s called 2010.
That's his as well.
And
then he did a 3rd book and a 4th.
Oh, did he?
Right,
well, the sequel is a pretty good movie.
Yeah, it's got good reviews.
Yeah, good reviews. Yeah.
Right. Now, okay. I feel like we should just hand over to Dave now.
Go on.
Obviously, Planet of the Apes, 1968. This is my version. I know there are a lot better versions and a lot better paintings of mine. But how many of you have had through your hands?
We've got. I'm just going to do a mic drop, guys. Best film. There you go. No more.
It is a great film.
It doesn't get any better, does it? Really? It doesn't get any better. No, I mean, I've always
gorillas
said,
on horses
with machine guns.
But you know, it's a very clever film.
Incredible, multifaceted, beautifully acted, fantastically produced comment on civil rights, on the folly of science, so to speak.
Ending.
What an end!
I know everybody thinks, the ending, but I saw it and I had no idea that ending was coming. So I had the joy of seeing it and thinking, oh my God.
You've got to be honest with me.
Because I had no idea.
Of all the films you've seen and all the films I've seen, the beginning of it, when he sat in the spaceship, that's so spooky. And all that, and the music and all of them, and then that boom, 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 and then he hits the water, and then there's a build-up where he's trying to find civilization, and then when you see that first ape, it's like, holy.
The prosthetics with it.
I still think it's better than the new one.
I found
the Cornfield Roundup is startling. You know, when you've got apes on horses chasing humans and killing them, and then you got that one where they're taking a photograph
of it. That's the only thing I didn't get, because I thought, well, how come he's taking it? But I kind of washed it a bit over for me. Why was he taking photographs?
I think there was a bit of irony in there, wasn't there? There was a bit of a comment on the way humans slaughter animals.
Yeah.
I think that was the bit of comedy that was chucked in. It was
so good.
And it was a lot of it was an attack on, the House Un-American Activities.
That's right.
The commentary was brilliant.
So good.
That you were guilty whether you were guilty or not, and if you couldn't speak, it was almost like that was a metaphor for silencing people. The fact that the people couldn't speak.
Oh, it's great.
And Charlton Heston's. I mean, I've never been a huge fan of Charlton Heston, but I think it's his best performance. I think it was very
to
good.
me, Chuck's best performance is Ben-Hur. I like Ben-Hur, but love Ben-Hur. But you know what? As a gritty, still relevant sci-fi movie, I have to say it's in my top 5 of the 70s.
I mean, it's one of the most influential sci-fi films ever made. I mean,
the kits and that don't really sell that well. They're not really that marketable.
But there was a Marvel magazine in America, and there was a Marvel magazine in England, which was serialised. The Adar kits were out.
Yeah.
The Aurora kits were out.
Yeah.
There was apes everywhere when I was. There was ape masks. You could go to a toy shop and buy a Galen mask from the TV series, because the TV series.
Don Post.
Yeah, Don Post. The TV series just extended the life of the film.
I enjoyed the TV series.
The TV series was great.
The TV series just went up against that. The reason that failed, it would cost so much to make, and it went up again, and the ratings weren't very good. But what he did is they rerun it and put 3 of them all together. And then Roddy McDowell did like a commentary over them. So I'd love
they made
to see
like a mini film,
I'd love
like
to
an
see
extended cut.
Yeah. Now regarding the model kits for the apes, there's the Apenauts, which I loved. I loved it. Escape from the Apes as well. Escape from the Apes, Planet of the Apes are my two favourites. The others get a little bit.
I didn't like what was the ones with all the huge battles in it? I didn't enjoy that.
Well, Conquest and Battle.
Escape. I thought Escape
Beneath
was
Beneath, you see, I love Beneath.
Did you?
I love Beneath because it was the introduction to this like mutant culture under the ground. And then you got a little bit of Taylor, didn't you? But you got James Franciscus, wasn't it? Was the actor?
I've got to show you this. So there's your sort of typical Planet of the Apes poster with the 2 on it. I thought this was hilarious. This is Go Ape. Just great.
I mean, what is
really,
how can you get
really
better
good.
than that?
Great.
How can you get better than that?
look at that.
Look at that.
I mean, look at it. Look at it. It's just, it's got mystery. It's got intent, hasn't it? Look at that. I love the way that they've.
Look at that.
Oh, look at it.
I mean, we do a set of 1/3 scale busts, and we do. Paul loves his apes, and Mike's going to show you this Tony Cipriano one, which I've got. I actually bought that one there, which I actually bought the rights for them. That one's not Paul's; it's Tony Cipriano.
Yeah, you've got some great.
We've got a load of ape stuff,
So
and then there was a kit. There was a 1/6 scale kit of the two gorillas with Charlton Heston holding him, which I sold when I was going through my divorce, and I wish I hadn't bothered. And then there's the Apenauts, the American ones, and then Master. So if anybody's got a Scapenauts kit they want to trade or whatever, or if anybody's got where Capture it's called, I think it's Forbidden Zone, do them. Get in contact. I'll be interested in trading some gear for you because I want to get them back out in my collection. I had to sell them when I got divorced.
By the way, I forgot to show everybody that. That was the crab we were talking
superb.
about. Now, next one. Barbarella.
Just before we go on, Kim Hunter played an ape.
Yeah.
She also played a mutant, didn't she? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Did she not also play a human character in Escape? So Kim Hunter's played an ape, a human, and a mutant.
Wow, I didn't know.
Do you know when they filmed Planet of the Apes? Here's a bit of trivia for you. When they were all having the breaks, all the gorillas sat together, all the orangutans sat together, and all the chimpanzees sat together when
seriously?
they were.
Isn't that fascinating? Sociological study there.
Well, there you go.
Brilliant.
How's that?
Right.
Art imitates life.
Now, the next one. Well, I know you don't like this one, Dave. I don't think. Barbarella, 1968.
Okay.
Very camp. I mean, it's Roger Vadim.
Scantily clad women.
He just marries women and takes their clothes off and puts them in films. He did the same with Bridget Bardot. Did the same with Jane Fonda.
Does he do bad stuff as well?
If you've never seen it, that's Jane Fonda as Barbarella.
If you haven't seen it, Jane Fonda as Barbarella, you need to see Jane Fonda as Barbarella before you die. It's one of those bucket list things. Watch the movie.
I do think this is
It's Joe Bailey.
Joe Bailey.
Joe Bailey.
Great. I think it's called Venus, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I actually do think
It's
very much
It's inspired by
Barbarella.
it. It's inspired by it.
Lovely plaque.
For me, Barbarella is a great movie. It's inspirational in a sense that it is a drug-fueled fantasy, isn't it? It's
It really
a drug-fueled erotic fantasy.
It is erotic fantasy.
But contained within that are some fantastic concepts.
It's
up there with Wilma Dear in that Buck Rogers.
Oh,
isn't
she
it?
is, yeah.
Let's
She
be
is.
honest.
She is.
I mean, what's it called? The Orgasmatron.
The Orgasmatron, the character in it called Duran.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's where the band got their name from.
Pygar is the amazing
the
angel
thing,
character who would make a very good model, actually.
Yeah. So I mean, we've got a lot of stuff in there that was.
I always thought this is the great tyrant in it, and I always thought she would make a very good model. Very, sort of almost like the Crow sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Very dark, very sinister. She's the baddie in it.
I believe is it based on a French adult comic book?
It is, yeah.
The continental people like the Italians and the French have always saw comic books as like an adult sort of medium as well as a children. So the graphic novels from America just follow on from the hundreds of graphic novels and Western graphic novels that had been around in Europe since the 1950s. And the French did a lot of very weird sci-fi stuff in the 60s.
They take their art a lot more seriously.
Take their art a lot more seriously. Barbarella is one of those things. So,
and by the way, but we talk about French.
It's a shame.
Planet of the Apes is based on a French novel. Very good.
Pierre Boulet.
Yeah. Very good actually. Very intelligent. Not as good as
Planet de Songe or something like that, isn't it?
I'll
Monkey
take your word
Planet.
for it.
Yeah.
Right, the next one. I just think this is a film that's sort of gone missing for some reason, and this is the Valley of the Gwangi.
Now go on. You're talking to the converted here with Bill.
I mean,
I was looking at is it X Plus?
Yeah, X Plus.
I had my I have a friend who's into dinosaurs in a big way, and he came round to the house last night for a cup of tea. Gave me a lift home. I said, "You've got to see this," and I showed him the X Plus Gwangi, the Allosaurus from Gwangi, and he was just his heart melted. It's that beautiful. The X Plus stuff is amazing.
that's the Allosaurus. I think
That is the Allosaurus.
There was an original, and I'm sure there was two kits. Janice did one. And there was a little cowboy on a horse.
Yeah.
And then originally, years ago, when the garage kit scene first started out, There was a company called Resin from the Grave, who a long time gone. They did one as well, which was a similar sort of thing. They tended to do Resin from the Grave tended to do a lot of Harryhausen and early Mighty Joe, and all that sort of stuff. Kong versus the T-Rex, the original Kong. But casting was a little bit dodgy in them days. So when you got a dinosaur, it looked like it had a stroke and things like that. So it was kind of, God bless him. I mean, that was how it was in them days. I'm not knocking it because we all, none of us is perfect. But they've moved on from then. So the X Plus one is definitely a
I was
plus.
lucky enough to go to the Ray Harryhausen exhibition in Edinburgh, and they got all of the
I saw that
there,
one at the Edinburgh Monarch Gallery. Yeah, and there was a brief one in Sale a couple of about 8 months. There was a little tiny one in the library, but the one in Edinburgh, the Gwangi was there. Everything was there, and it's just amazing. But what gets me about it, when you see them in real life, they're so much smaller than you think they're going to be. Because you think they're going to be that big,
some of them
but they're tiny.
I mean, the film was strange because it got the production company. It took 1.5 years, which was because of the post production, because of the stuff that Harryhausen was doing.
Because he worked on his own, didn't he? Yeah. He worked on his own on every single scene,
and basically he was in control. Yeah. But the producers lost faith in it. They sort of slowly released it instead of releasing it big. They didn't have the faith in it being a good movie, and it bombed. And it was a very expensive movie because it got dinosaurs, Allosaurus, Brontosaurus, pterodactyl, miniature horses. Some of Harryhausen's best work.
The bit where they take the miniature horse, they go into this sort of circus booth, and they take the cover off this little arena, and the little Eohippus comes on, and it's Eohippus, dawn horse. It means the little 4 toes. It's got little 4 toes, and it comes on. It's a tiny little horse, and it does this little sort of parade around it, and they're watching it. It's fantastic. It's like watching the Ymir grow. In is it 20,000 miles, 2 million miles worth or whatever it is, and the Ymir grows, and they're watching the Ymir grow. It's like that, and I would say it's the pinnacle of that sort of animation.
Harryhausen regarded it as one of his best work.
Technically, his best
because
work.
The plot, it's sort of vaguely sort of cowboys, but
versus dinosaurs. Like you like gorillas on horses.
Yeah,
I like cowboys fighting with dinosaurs.
And it's obviously got links to King Kong. Strangely, the idea of taking a picture
and the Lost World. They're in a valley.
They're all there.
Yeah,
but it cost a hell of a lot of money. It bombed out of sight, and perhaps that's why it's never been a big film for anybody. It's a cult film.
It's a cult film, but you know what? Everybody who said to me, which of the Harryhausen films would you recommend me to watch? I say, well, obviously watch A Million Years BC, etc., etc. Jason and the Argonauts. Yeah. I said, but if you've got space for a third one, do Gwangi, Valley of the Gwangi. Just watch it, and don't think of it as a sci-fi movie or a western. Just watch it.
And enjoy it.
It's a lovely bit. They get this dinosaur, they take it out of its natural environment. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you can imagine what happens. It's a bit like Kong, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so.
He is just a reptile Kong, isn't he?
And you feel sorry for him.
You feel sorry for it. It's hideous. It's terrible.
It's a very, very watchable film, and enjoyable. But the models are.
I think the later ones are the ones that are getting more representative of model kits. The earlier ones are lesser known ones. People haven't gone with them. So out of them all, guys, what would you like to see done as a resin kit?
I am a huge Planet of the Apes. I would still go right back to the time machine and say I want stuff.
Time machine.
Yeah, I love the time machine.
Morlock. There's definitely going to be a Morlock. I promise you, there's a Morlock. I'm going to swear that on camera. So the Morlock is on its way. It might take me years, but I'll do it. For me, what I would like to see is either stuff from Mysterious Island, diorama stuff from Mysterious Island, proper kits. Yeah. Love that. And obviously there's Valley of the Gwangi. A lot of them are done, so I wouldn't worry about that. I was really
glad to hear what you were saying about Mooncalf. I'm looking forward to that.
That's brilliant.
And I really would like that Day of the Triffids weird design from the poster. I think that's a stunning piece of work.
In fact, I would say from this video, if there's one film on there you haven't seen and it's First Man in the Moon, I would actually say go for it. Because there's a BBC version of it that came out a couple of years ago. Who was the guy that was in it?
It's the guy who wrote the.
He plays Sherlock's brother.
Is it Inside Number 9? What's his name? Mycroft in Sherlock. Good writer. And it was good. It stuck to the.
He's in the League of Gentlemen.
Very nicely, yeah.
Yeah,
Very
but there's yeah.
Right,
Anyway,
well, that seems to be
that's
it,
it.
guys. We seem to have covered the 60s.
Yep.
60s.
We've
Like I
done.
say, it's been very
done
interesting.
50s.
50s, yeah, 60s, sci-fi's these guys. Obviously, they love it. So we hope you like what we've done. If there's any comments or any suggestions for these guys, keep them clean. Leave them in the comments below. We are going to do a short one that's going to accompany this about the show. Very short in a minute, and then we'll catch you on that one. But I've been Dave.
I've been Bill.
I'm still Mike.
See you later, guys.
I'll be Bill later as well.
So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and leave your comments below. It is important to us, and it keeps us all going. We do enjoy doing these, and it's going to be a couple of weeks before me and Bill get back together to do the next one, and we'll get Mike in to do some more, I'm sure. Take care, guys.
Cheers, everyone.